Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Mountaineer Locker Room. Then and now, Greg Christ, along with Frank Fear. Frank, welcome in, and got some exciting times going on at WVU and sports, and got another great guest for tonight, and tickled to death to have Mickey back with us as well. So, going to be a good night.
Oh, you bet. It's always good to be here with you and everyone. And yes, great guest in Phil Braxton. Good to have Mickey back and lots of great stuff. Unfortunately, tonight we're running right alongside Mountaineer basketball. And so after we finish the show, we'll get right to our television or devices to watch the end of that game. But exciting. And the women, my God, bless the Mountaineers. What a tremendous championship over TCU. I looked at the roster, Greg. They have 3 women that are 6'7" or taller.
Oh, huge. Yeah.
On that roster.
They were big.
Wow.
The women's team, they were big. And, we talked there last week on the show about this women's team and how we thought that based on what we saw during the season. And I said, looking back at that Duke game over to Greenbrier back in, I guess that was November, and to do what they did over there made you realize that there was something special about this bunch. And then the way they went in and won that championship, it was just amazing and exciting, and hats off to them. So that was awesome. And, they're talking, I don't know if it's been announced yet, but they're talking about the possibility of getting a first round home game. I don't know how they do it in the women's, but maybe you're better versed in that, Frank.
Well, they play the first 2 rounds on campus sites. What shocked me when I looked to the NCAA net, which is the official ranking from the NCAA, they stayed at 18th. They stayed at number 18, even though they won the Big Ten championship. But I don't think there's any way the top 16 teams get a chance to host. I just don't think there's any way they can not, using a double negative, not get a home site. I mean, a couple things. First of all, they won a major conference championship, and number 2, they draw well. And so, and really from a media point of view, with the win over Duke, as you mentioned, and now this win over TCU, and they just draw a lot of eyeballs. I mean, Harrison, my God, her post-game interview has just gone, ballistic in terms of views. It's a reel that thousands upon thousands of people have seen. So,
I think they call that viral, Frank.
But yeah, exactly. Ballistical, I shouldn't mention. That's a bad word to use right now. It's called viral. But that's not a good word to use either. So I don't know. Lots of people have seen it, but for a former coach like you, defense setting up the offense, huh?
Yeah, and just like with the men's team, you play fantastic defense, and that helps your offense so much. And then when your offense is clicking too, you win games, and that's what they did. And they're tenacious on defense. They just stay after you, and it's so fun to watch. And with the home game, if they get one, if they don't, this team is good enough to make some noise in this NCAA tournament. I think they could win a game or 2 or 3, and it's going to be fun to watch them. So I'm pretty excited. I usually don't get revved up. I don't watch a lot of women's basketball, so I don't know a lot about it. But but I'll be watching this. It should be fun.
Very good. Excellent.
Yep. So all that out of the way, we've got another Mountaineer great joining us tonight, and the name, of course, synonymous with Mountaineer lore, Mountaineer history. Phil Braxton, of course, and most Mountaineer fans, of course, remember Jim, his uncle, and who was a Mountaineer great, and then had a great NFL career. And it always ticks me off when I say he had a great career blocking for O.J. Simpson. Well, he also had a great career playing. And not only was he a great blocker, but he could catch the ball, he could kick the ball, he could run the ball, he could do about everything. And that makes it even more special tonight because we've got Mickey with us, who actually got to play with him, and so it's going to be fun. So Phil, welcome into the show. I think he's there somewhere. I see. Yep, there he is.
How
And
you gentlemen
welcome.
doing today?
All right, welcome in. We appreciate you so much. I'm going to give you a couple quick questions, and I'm going to let Frank and Mickey take over with the questions. But want to go back and start when you were in high school. Tell us about where you were at in high school, how that went, and then how the recruiting process unfolded, how you ended up at WVU. Of course, to not have ended up at WVU would have been tragic if that would have happened, but with that name. So tell us how all that happened, who recruited you, et cetera, et cetera.
So I went to Connellsville High School in Pennsylvania, and obviously it was the same high school my Uncle Wes went to, and my Uncle Jim went to. I actually lived with my grandmother, so I actually lived with his mother, both of their mothers, as well. So I kind of went through a similar process as they did. Actually, coming out of high school, I ended up being really successful my senior year, ended up being first team All-State, a few things of that nature. And the first person that actually offered me was Marshall. So I don't know if you guys remember at the time, Marshall had Randy Moss and Chad Pennington. So Marshall had a little pull on me in terms of that because I was a true fan of Randy Moss even then. And, they had a coach, Coach Pruitt at the time that was like, hey, you can be the next Randy Moss. You can be the next Randy Moss. So I initially was going to sign with Marshall over West Virginia. However, I had a host, and I don't know if you gentlemen remember him. His name was Damon Cogdell. He played linebacker, number one.
Absolutely. Yep.
So West Virginia said, hey, well, why don't you come down here before you sign with Marshall? Why don't you come down here for a visit or two? And I had an opportunity, to really see West Virginia from the inside out rather than just the fan perspective or just, watching my uncle. And I fell in love pretty much immediately. My family also, we've had so many, I don't misquote me, but I want to say that at least 11 people in my family have graduated from WVU.
Awesome.
So it's kind of a family institution as well. So I really love, the ability to even be able to go to West Virginia and follow some of my footsteps. A lot of people are like your Uncle Bubby, but my Uncle Wes went there. I had a cousin Jamie, a cousin Melissa, so many family members that I was kind of excited to go in any capacity just because so many of my family members had attended that university to begin with. So it's
Who
a family.
recruited WVU? Who's your recruiter?
Bill Karlavich. Coach Karlav, one of the most honest, hard-nosed, one of my favorite people still today in the world, because he just lets you know, straight out, hey, how he feels, if you need to work, what it is. So still to this day, I love Coach Karlav.
That's awesome. Awesome to hear.
I think Coach Young as well. Donnie Young, if I'm not mistaken, also was with Coach Karlavich at the time. So Donnie Young, I don't want to leave you out, Coach Young.
I'm going to let Frank or Mickey, who do you want in first? Frank, either one of you, does it matter? All right, Mickey, jump in there.
Get Mickey in there first, and then I'll follow up. Yeah.
Jump in there, Mickey. Mickey.
Well, Phil, it's a real pleasure, and an honor to meet you here today. As we were discussing earlier, over the internet right now, but hopefully soon in person up in Morgantown. Your Uncle Bubby, as everybody called him, I just wanted to start off saying a few words about Jim. What a great guy. He was not only one heck of a fullback, blocking back, running back, tight end, all-American style on the field, but off the field, just one of the nicest guys you'd ever want to meet. Friendly, concerned about friendship with other players, concerned about whatever's needed to make the team work. Just a great overall guy. I had the honor and the privilege of playing with Jim for a couple of years. We were a couple of years apart, but just what a great role model I'm sure he was for you. No doubt about that. I did want to get into your high school career just a little bit. I did a little research on you. You played basketball, football, and ran track in high school, didn't you? A three-sport athlete.
Absolutely. And going to Connellsville, they have an awesome wrestling program as well. They have a coach for years, Coach Doldie. So even though I didn't wrestle technically in high school, I did wrestle a lot with the team and learned some techniques that even in football gave me quite a bit of an advantage.
Yep. Yep. In football, did you you played both ways, offense and defense? I know you were cornerback on defense and wide receiver on offense in high school, or
Believe it
different
or not,
positions?
I was a running back. So when I was in high school, we had a Coach Dan Spanish.
Oh, okay.
And I played, it was sort of like a safety corner linebacker kind of hybrid where I would follow a lot of the other teams. Almost like a boxing one we used to run in basketball where I would just follow the person around. And actually on offense, I played running back. So a lot of people are like, oh, how'd you end up being a receiver? And actually my first year at West Virginia, I played safety as well. However, I think a big part of some of the transition from running back is I was so tall in high school. I was a 6'3" running back. And we know even, I mean, we have some bigger running backs today that are tall, but at that time there were not many 6'3", if any 6'3" running backs. So they were like, yeah, you're probably going to have to change positions in college.
Yeah. Did you indicate to West Virginia you were interested in playing defense, cornerback, or did they tell you they were going to groom you for the defensive side of the ball, or more of an offensive player?
So to be honest, I was kind of split down the middle. You know how occasionally they'll recruit an individual as an athlete? Well, I had that recruitment at West Virginia. I didn't. So when I signed, I did not have a position. It just said athlete. So when I came in, I worked out at a few different positions. And the first position that I really was playing was safety. But if I can be honest, gentlemen, I came out of high school really wanting to be a cornerback. I felt like, hey, I'm so tall and I can do all the things that other corners can do. I thought it was going to give me an advantage in college. However, again, a lot of hey, you're kind of too tall for this. You'd be an awesome receiver. You'd be an awesome safety. And we kind of want you there. Just being honest, looking back, it deterred me a little bit defensively. And I had a little bit of an injury going into West Virginia from my senior year in high school where I hurt my shoulder and had a stinger, but there was some type of nerve damage I had. And I was a little nervous to go, obviously D1 and play football at safety and damage. I'm like, man, if I did this in high school to my shoulder, what's it going to look like at the next level? So even though I did start at West Virginia at safety, by the end of my first year, I actually asked the coaches if they could move me to receiver. At the time, Jerry Porter had made a switch. I don't know if you gentlemen remember where I believe he was a safety and he switched to receiver. So I'm like, hey, I'm just like him. I can do the same thing. I can play either or. I promise, coach, I can play either or. So I'll never forget. First day they switched me to receiver. I ran a few routes, cut a few touchdowns, and Anthony Beck walks over. He says, you know what, you're going to be all right at this position. I was like, yep, I'm good. If Anthony Beck tells me he liked what he's seen, I'm good to go. I'm like, hey.
Good to go.
I knew he was going to the NFL the next year, and I'm like, hey, I'm listening to this guy.
Now you were
that's great.
You were recruited by Pitt also, I believe, and didn't you at one point before you committed to West Virginia have a verbal commit to Michigan? Frank, you'll be interested in this, I think.
I did. So my junior year in high school.
What happened? Michigan's lost in our game.
Yes. So what happened was my junior year in high school, I got to play against some really great opponents. LeVar Arrington is a good friend of mine. Went to Penn State. Ended up being an all-time great at Penn State. And we had a few head-to-heads in track and field and football, basketball as well. And also, there's another gentleman that played at Laurel Highlands. His name was William Peterson, I believe. Since then, he goes by William James, and he went to Laurel Highlands. They were all teams that we played my junior year. So a lot of those schools, he ended up William James ended up going to Michigan, or he verbally committed to Michigan. So what happened was when they came to watch him play, I ended up having like 200 yards and like 4 touchdowns, and I had an amazing game. So right after the game, they were like, we're interested in you. If we're going to take this, William James, and he was an awesome player as well. They were like, and you still got one more year. We're very much interested in you. So going into towards the end of, they sent me a few things, and I verbally committed to Michigan. However, I was a little bit of a knucklehead when I was younger, and I'm a teacher now, but at some point in time, I didn't have that state of mind, and I wasn't the greatest student. Then I'll say, we'll just say that I wasn't the greatest student, and they were like, we need your GPA to be higher. So along the course of some of that, West Virginia was still recruiting me. And I was like, well, if Michigan doesn't going to want me, I'll just go to my family home. We'll go to West Virginia. But in terms of Pitt, I can let you gentlemen know I would have never went to Pitt. There is no situation on earth that I would have went to Pitt. I told you guys that my grandmother, I grew up in my grandmother's house, Carrietta Turner, right? So same house that my Uncle Bubby lived in, same house my Uncle Wes lived in. So my grandmother growing up, she had a trophy room. And I wish I was there right now just to show you guys. So West Virginia used to give out the big stick or big hit awards that used to be just like little plaques. They were like pictures that would say the date of your hit and what team it was versus. So my grandmother had my Uncle Bubby's in that room. She had my Uncle Wes's. And I'm like, man, I'm getting one of those one day. I don't care. From West Virginia, I am going there, and I am going to have one of those on my grandmother's mantelpiece when this is all said and done. So a part of it was all the years growing up in that house. She had a trophy room that had, I'm telling you, gentlemen, 500 trophies. I mean, it was a whole room, top to bottom, with every trophy that my Uncle Bubby ever had, I ever had, my Uncle Wes ever had. I mean, it was just, you name it, it was all in there. And I'm like, yeah, this is all West Virginia thing. So, and my grandmother was not a fan of Pitt at all. So there is no way that I could have ever attended Pitt, or she would have been angry with me, I promise.
Well, and you're one more point here, and I'll turn you over to Frank. Your performance on the field against Pitt echoes exactly what you're saying, because what outstanding games you had against them in 2 of your years. I'm sure Frank has some more information on this. He may even have some film on it. So I just want to say, really appreciate everything you did for WVU while we were there, and also understand you're the athletic director now at Manchester Charter School, right? AD?
Yeah, so actually I've changed positions since then. I was the AD for years at Manchester Charter. Schools are a little bit different now, gentlemen. So things are just so different with children now. I actually moved. I'm still at Manchester Charter, but I moved to a 7th grade math teacher a few years back. So okay. I've been teaching 7th grade math at the same school, but I was athletic director at Manchester Charter for about 5 years. But I don't know if you gentlemen know this as well, for a lot of schools in the WPIL area, and I don't know if it's like this in West Virginia, they've been doing something called pay to play now. So in order for you to have certain sports, the athletes themselves have to come out, or the parents have to come out of pocket. And I remember years ago, we go tagging or sell hoagies or things of that nature to supplement anything that we needed in terms of sports. But now it's to the point where parents really have to dig in their pocket in order for us to even have sports. And some of those things kind of deterred me from doing that anymore. I'm like, man, I want kids that just want to play. I don't want to have to ask everybody to come out their pocket $800 for this and that. So even though I'm still an athlete, I still love sports, I did switch from the athletic director to the mathematics teacher.
All I can say, Mickey, don't mean to interrupt, but I taught school for 30 years and I coached middle school football for a while. If he gave up the AD job to coach seventh or teach seventh grade, it must have been rough because, man alive, I always said, I taught high school, and I always said, I don't know how anybody could teach middle school. That would drive me crazy. So that must have been a tough job. Sorry about that, Mick.
No, that's fine. Hey, great chatting with you, Phil. I look forward to seeing you up in Morgantown one of these Saturdays. Thanks for coming on the show tonight. I'll turn you over to Frank.
Nice meeting you as well, Mickey.
Great questions there, Mick. I really enjoyed this. And you're right. We do have some film specifically from the 2002 Pitt game when Phil had that long touchdown that gave the Mountaineers the win. And Darren's gonna cue that up in a few minutes. But until we do that, Phil told a story that about the Peach Bowl ring that Jim Braxton had, and Mickey, you weren't with us then. I think the audience would really appreciate that, Phil. So why don't you tell that story to everybody? It's a great story.
So when I was younger, I want to say maybe 5th grade. I'm in my grandmother's room and she has a drawer, and I pull out the drawer and there's a few rings in there. And 2 of the rings were the 69 Peach Bowl ring from my Uncle Bubby, and she had my Uncle Wes's Blue Bonnet Bowl, maybe? Was it Blue Bonnet Bowl in the 80s?
84.
Blue Bonnet Bowl ring. So I'm like, man, these rings, my hands were so little at that time compared to them guys, right? Because Uncle Wes is big, Uncle Bubby was huge. And I'm like, man, I'm this little guy. And I'm like, I gotta find a way to wear these rings. So believe it or not, I just got a napkin, a paper towel, and would fold it around my finger, wrap it around my finger till it fit snug, the ring fit snug on my finger, and would wear it. Now, I wish you guys would see how big this ring would look. It looked like it could have been across all 4 of my fingers. This ring was huge compared to mine. So I'll never forget going to school and teachers looking like, what does this guy got on right now? So, yes, and I enjoyed it. I loved every minute of it, and I made sure I cherished that ring when I had it when I was out because my grandmother allowed me to do that. So eventually, I want to say my first bowl game, I don't know if it was Insight.com or Music City, possibly. I made sure my grandmother got that ring. I'm like, I can't wait till I get this ring. I'm going to make sure I put it in here with the rest of the rings. Since 1969 to 2002, I think they were at some point.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's a great story. Just a fantastic story. Yeah, and the thing, Phil, and I've mentioned this to Phil, and the guys know this, that we've had your Uncle Wes Turner on the show, and I was thinking as you were talking about giving and getting hits. Well, Jim would give them to others, and so would your Uncle Wes. And he was on the show a couple of months ago, and Landon Turner, his son, was on the show with him, and Landon had as you know, tremendous career at University of North Carolina, was all ACC, All America, played pro for a while, and it just that was a very, very great show. And your cousin Jamie Braxton Brandt has been on the show several times, and we always she's just so articulate and engaging, and as you mentioned, my God, how many. They may have to change the name of West Virginia University to Braxton University at Morgantown or something like that for all the Braxtons who've gotten degrees. Darren, could you cue up that film of the 2002 Pitt game? We've got a couple of your catches, both catches in that game, but we've got some other guys in there too. I mean, one of the things that I didn't appreciate as much as I should have until I saw this film was just what a. I knew Rasheed Marshall was a great quarterback, but boy, he really revved up the crowd. I mean, he could. He was a showman out there, and just a great athlete and great person. But Darren's going to put it up here. There's no audio on this, so you can talk us through when Darren gets that up. But that I think that was your last game, regular season game of your senior year, when you had that 79-yard touchdown, correct?
Yes, sir. It was the last game, and I want to say at the time, Pitt and West Virginia were both ranked, and we thought at the time that it was going to be able to go to the Gator Bowl. But you guys probably remember this. Remember how Notre Dame used to shuffle in there when they wanted to? So that was one of those situations. I think we ended up second and to Miami maybe that year where they won the national championship. So we we're definitely going to go to the Gator Bowl, but it didn't happen. So
yeah,
unfortunate.
I got some defensive plays here. You're going to remember this guy, number 1.
James Davis. James Dirty Davis.
James Dirty Davis. Greg, do you remember him? I'm sure you do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a quick story about him, too. I'll be honest. Me and him were great friends throughout. I came into West Virginia with him.
Yeah.
Great friend of mine. And he was the only person that I was like, please don't hit me during practice, Dirty. Because you're the one person I know that can really hurt me out here. So I'm going to need you to not do this.
There's Rasheed. Now, here's one of your pass catches. Great run after catch. Boom. Carry the guy. And here we go. Here it is. Here it is. It's coming up.
And I love this play, but if you notice, if you look before, I'm waving my hand. I shouldn't be doing that. I'm doing a little bit of showboating right here. Almost get caught behind. But in the moment, I am not going to lie to you. For Rasheed, he's a Pittsburgh guy. You know, I went to Connellsville, which is in the WPIL. I'll never forget pregame. I went to warm up, and I had maybe about 50 of my high school classmates that had attended Pitt that were in the stands. So the number of people that I knew even before the game started that were there, I was just on another level of excitement. I had family members in the stands. It was just such a great experience. And like I said, playing in the WPIL and having even an opportunity to play, let alone having a play that was at that magnitude during a game. I mean, like you're saying, it's something that, you look back at it for years, and I just appreciate the opportunity.
Well, and the other thing is that it was a good thing you did wave your hand, because Rasheed had the juke to get out of I think it was a linebacker that was coming right down on him. And if he hadn't swerved out of the way, there would have been a tackle for loss. He got loose and then just threw it on a dime to you, and then the D-back didn't have a choice. And that was it was a tight game. I mean, they were ranked. They were number 17. You guys ended up 9-3 that year. And it was a great game. And what made it sweeter, of course, it was at Pitt.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, you know how it is. Sometimes when things are taken away, you just don't realize how much you miss them. And we had played Pitt so many years prior to that. So recently I've been going to some of the Pitt matchups since they brought it back. And I'm like, man, this is a game that we really need to be playing every year. With not playing Penn State as well, I think that is something that college football needs to look at just in general. Some of these rivalries we've had for 90 years, 100 years, some of these rivalries been going on for way too long and I understand how money is in the entertainment business, but for some of these situations, we got to figure out a way to continue these rivalries and these things that have gone on for years and years and years.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, we've talked about that endlessly, and all three of us here, and we can add Darren and also Mark Parsons, who is our assistant producer, and he was, as always, is great and got you lined up for us. When you think about, let's bring back the Big East, get these rivalries back again. You know, I was thinking about that just the other day when I was watching West Virginia play Maryland in baseball, and how great it is to have these border wars. But I'll kick it back to you, Greg.
All right. Yeah, I know you. We talked about the situation with the parents. You know, this pay to play thing. I've heard about that in numerous states, which I think is awful, and it's very sad that if you happen to be poor, you may not get a chance to play. That's pretty sad. But with the NIL, you know, going on now, we talk about this a ton on here. Um, you know, what do you see in the near future as far as college athletics are concerned with the transfer portal, the NIL, all these conference shifts and everything? Do you see? And you mentioned the regional rivalries, which we've also talked about ad nauseum. And what do you see coming down the road here in the next few years?
I'm not sure. I've been monitoring it pretty closely. Um, there are some situations that still confuse me, I'm still old school where if you guys were on my team, we're a team till the end. So there's a part of me that pulls at me where I'm a kind of person, whatever I start, I kind of want to finish. But I do see that times are different. And for a lot of these guys, they have an opportunity to maybe make money that can set their family up for the rest of their lives. And I just think about myself going into teaching. I'm like, you know what? If I would have, got $1 million or $2 million in NIL money, I would have never worried about nothing the rest of my life because I know I wasn't living but a certain way. So I understand chasing the money in certain aspects, but to me, sometimes it's really difficult for me to see a college player that played for 4 different teams. It just is. It's really different. And even some of these situations where we'll see a starter that might make the not necessarily the national championship, but the playoff. And you're like, he went to another team after starting in the playoff? That's just different. Usually you want those guys to stick around. You'll build on it. Those are the character guys that you want on your team. Hey, we're going to build our team this way. And this is one of our centerpieces or our pillars of our team. So I just wonder for certain coaches how hard it could be to build certain teams without having those pillars. You know how it is. You were a freshman, then you learn from your seniors, you were a sophomore. By the time your senior year, you were teaching the freshmen. So I'm like, I wonder now how that looks if there's not those people that can help the younger athletes navigate the system or the school or what have you. I do also think, though, one of my issues why I think I'm okay with it is I used to get frustrated about the coaches leaving and students not being able to. We can think of a million situations where coaches had something very similar where they were given an opportunity to maybe go somewhere else. And it's like, hey, you recruited me and you're gone like this. So I do think with that happening even prior, that I have more of an understanding of the players. I do want them to set themselves up. So I don't want to be too judgmental. We're a little bit older gentlemen, so it's easy for us to say, oh man, I can't believe, you would do this or do that. But I do understand for certain players and certain families that they could possibly set themselves up to be well off for the rest of their life. So I don't want to be mad at it. I do, however, like I said, sometimes find issue when players, especially now when you're like in your 7th year for a COVID year and you're on your 5th team in 7 years, like that is just an odd thing for me to swallow personally.
Yeah, not only getting NIL, but getting Social Security as well. But yeah, and I think we've all kind of agree with you along the same lines. Mickey, maybe not, but I've always felt like the players should get paid. I feel like with the billions of dollars that are generated, by the games and the images and all that sort of thing, they deserve to get paid. We just like to see some parameters, maybe
Absolutely.
some contracts and some commitment, maybe that sort of thing. And we've talked about that a lot. One other thing you mentioned, I want to before we let you go, you mentioned the Music City Bowl, which you played in. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Was that not Don Nehlen's last game as head coach?
It was.
I thought
it
so.
was.
Tell us a little bit about Coach Nehlen, that last game and all that.
And you know what? The way I view it, it's kind of difficult because I don't want to seem like a negative Nancy as well, but I was a Don Nehlen guy. I love Coach Rodriguez, and a lot of times I feel a lot of questions about Coach Rodriguez, and I think he's a good man, and I liked him as a coach. We didn't always get along, and there were some things that I felt that he was very tough on. Did I understand later on in life? Yes, I did. But I was still like a Neyland guy. I love Coach Neyland to death. I do. That was my guy. You know what I mean? So just being around a guy that had put so much time in and to watch the way he moved around and the respect that he got from people and the respect he would give people even till the day. I can remember it's not but a couple years ago going to a West Virginia game, and he still remembered me and gave me a hug. And I'm like, man, Coach Neyland's how old? I would not be mad if he couldn't remember me after 20-something years and all the players that he had and all life's going on. So as I remember a time growing up where they used to be like, you try to be a good man. Like the things that you do in life, at the end of the day, my grandfather is like, it's about being a good man. And that's what I can absolutely say about Coach Newman. At the end of the day, he was a great man. He continues to be a great man. And I have all the respect in the world for him.
I have to ask you about the transition there. That had to be tough. I mean, and I don't know, I wasn't there, so I can't say this for certain, but it would seem to me like coaching styles is about probably the most extreme you could get between Coach Neyland and Coach Rodriguez. Just looking at it from the outside in, it looks like the styles were totally different. What kind of transition was that for you and the other players? I mean, I'm sure it hit you like, whoa, where'd this guy come from? I mean, I'm sure it was different.
Most difficult transition I've ever made in my life, just to be honest. Coach Rodriguez came in a lot younger than Coach Neyland as well, right? Coach Neyland was the seasoned teacher, coach that had, been coaching 30 years. And he was, I won't say he was soft on players, but he was understanding. I don't remember Coach Neyland ever yelling at me. I don't remember any like negative interaction between Coach Neyland, even though I was a younger player. Actually, I can remember a situation where I hurt myself and I wanted to still play. And he's like, Brax, you're important to the team. I need you to go in and make sure you get treatment. And I was like, man, that's so thoughtful of this guy. He was really concerned about my well-being. And we know how football has been for years, where it's like a lot of times, we grew up with coaches that were like, listen, unless you're dying, you need to be out there. There's a certain tough edge you needed to have to be out on the football field. And to hear a coach say, listen, I already know you have that in you, but what we need to do is make sure that you take care of yourself. It meant so much to me at the time. And Coach Rod was more of a hard-nosed guy. He was like, listen, I don't care. You're going to work your butt off or you ain't going to be here pretty much. So, I mean, it wasn't like I wasn't a worker, but just Coach Rod's approach was such a contrasting style to Coach Neyland. I think for a lot of young men at that time, it was very difficult. And I bet you if you ask Coach Rod, would there be some things that he changed about his first years? I think he would. So I think we're all like that. We grow, we become older. There's things that we might look back and say we would change. So even though I know I had some, like I love Coach Rodriguez, but I know there were some issues that him and myself, we ran in throughout the time. I think if we got to talk about it, I understand that he was a younger coach and I wouldn't hold those type of things against him.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he was very, I guess, boisterous would be a good word to use.
And I don't know if you remember I'm sorry, but I was going to say the first year he came, we went 3-9.
Oh yeah, I remember. I was there for all of them.
And I'll never forget. I'm like, we're going to the senior year, talking to Avon Colburn. He's still a good friend, and a few guys like, listen, let's get with Coach Rod's program. Let's just do whatever we need to do to make sure we win. And that 3-9 turned to 9-3. So that's where we also see, like, listen, everybody might not love Coach Rod, but did he get results? Yes.
Yeah.
So we watched him turn around a program, and I think that's one thing that's tough for us as fans. Prior to him coming back, we really didn't see the success after the departure of Coach Rodriguez as we seen prior with Coach Nealing, Coach Bowden. I'm gonna throw it way back, Coach Bowden, or obviously Coach Rodriguez. So I think that was something that you miss something. Sometimes you don't miss it till it's gone, right? So that's one of those things. Like, oh man, some people might have hated him, but I know when he left initially, people were like, man, I wish we still had some of those wins.
Yeah. Well, I think if you look at him and his career, if you see him now, even on the sidelines, I mean, he's still tough, and he'll still get in people's face for sure. But he seems to have mellowed quite a bit, and I think that comes with age and experience. He's gotten a little bit more aware of himself. I guess a good way to put it, over time. So hopefully he can adapt to this new college football world and get things headed in the right direction up there. One last thing here, just out of curiosity, your best memory from WVU.
I'll be honest, it's more the camaraderie. I don't think it's one in particular moment. I'll be honest, the thing I miss most is having a gang of guys that had your back no matter what. You had a lot of the same interests, and we know when you get married, you get older, you get a job, some of those things don't, they're just not there to that same capacity anymore. So just having 100 men that we were on the same page, we had a common goal you could just hang out with, common interest, learning people's family from different areas. I miss it.
Yep, I'm sure. Yep, I'm sure. Frank, Mickey, you guys, anything you want to follow up with before we let Phil go?
Well, this has been just an honor to have you here, Phil, and I just enjoyed it. I mean, I'm a fan, so I'm sitting in the back a good share of the time and just enjoying listening to what you have to say. And we've said it; it's Mountaineer royalty, the Braxton family, and it's not just the athletes, but anybody who knows the Braxton family. You talked about your grandmother. It's an exceptional family. Tight knit. Jamie would talk about the holiday celebration she would have, and we've met her spouse Peter, and it's just great to be associated with a wonderful family.
I appreciate you, gentlemen. I really do.
Mickey, anything you want to end up with?
Well, just reiterate that camaraderie point that Phil made. That's what it's really all about when it's all said and done. Excuse me. The good thing about playing at WVU and playing in Morgantown is that camaraderie is not only with your current teammates, but it kind of transcends generations. When he mentioned Coach Neal and being cut out of Coach Bowden's cloth, that is handed down from generation to generation, and that camaraderie between Mountaineers goes on for eternity as well. And again, I wish Jim was still with us here. Boy, I sure miss him, and I have some great memories. He certainly made my life much, much more enjoyable when I was in college. Thanks for being with us, Phil.
I appreciate the opportunity, gentlemen, and hopefully I get to see you guys at a game. Let me know if you need anything from me. Go ahead, you got my email. Let me know. Anything you guys need. I appreciate the opportunity. I do.
Fantastic.
All right.
Well, guess what? I'm sorry. I told one person I was going to make sure I gave them a shout out. I have a few former students, obviously teaching for a while, and I got one student that is amazing. And he goes to Central Catholic High School in Pittsburgh, and his name is Chris Black. He's a sophomore, and I want everybody just to watch him because I believe this year I'm supposed to bring him down to a few games, but I'm telling you, he's a little bit of like a Pac-Man. He's a lot of bit of Pac-Man Jones type of corner. And I hope West Virginia makes sure they go and get this young man because I've worked with him for years, and I am telling you, I just foresee him being a Mountaineer, and everybody's going to be like, man, this guy's awesome. So he's an amazing young talent, and I just want to make sure I shout him out, and hopefully Mountaineers are looking at him and go give him a look.
Absolutely, that's great. That's what we like to hear. Phil, we can't tell you how much we appreciate it. Very enjoyable, and we do look forward to. We will see you at a game or back on the show again. We appreciate you so much. You probably got lesson plans or something to do with these seventh graders. Good luck with that.
You gentlemen, thanks again. I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Another great story, Mountaineer history, Frank. A good player, fun to watch, and just honestly, from that family, just a great family of people. You know, we've had several of the family members on, and all of them just super people. You can just tell.
Well, and you're right. So many stories and so many dimensions. You
Yeah.
think of Wes Turner was also a boxer after
Yeah.
he graduated after he left West Virginia, and a lot of people don't remember. Mickey certainly does. Is that for I think probably would probably be most of the season. I think Jim Braxton was the place kicker, at least for part of the '70s season. And my understanding is, Mickey, and you can add, that one of the biggest challenges for Jim was after he scored a touchdown, having to go to the sidelines to put his kicking shoe on. Now, is that a true story? Yeah, didn't he?
Yeah.
That
And
is a
Mickey
true
got
story.
the snap, I think, for himself.
Oh.
Yeah.
He'd have to go over and switch his shoe out and then hustle back on. Often we'd have to call a timeout, give him time enough to do that. But what a great player. What a great guy. Sure miss him. I tell you, he ran into him a couple of times after we were at Morgantown together, and just great to sit down and commiserate. When you develop that camaraderie that Phil was talking about, there's just nothing like it in the whole world. That's why most of the questions that I pose on the show here, guys, are with an intent to try to develop a player-to-player type experience. Most of my questions are toward that angle of the interview.
Yeah.
Hey, Greg, I did want to mention one thing here, or two things on women's basketball.
Uh-huh.
I did a little research before the show, and the top 16 seeds get home court advantage for the first two rounds, first two games. And WVU is seeded number 4 in the nation.
Oh. Well, that sounds like a couple of home games then.
Well, yeah, 2 home games to go with there. And the last point I wanted to make here was how fortunate we are to have a guy like Ren Baker as our athletic director. What a great hire he made in Mark Kellogg.
Yeah.
3 20-win seasons in a row. And now we're, win the Big 12 for the first time since around 2013 or so.
Yeah, probably.
Frank, you're the statistician. Maybe 2009. But anyway, what a great job Ren has done in bringing in some top-notch coaches. And, it just filters down from there, the recruiting, the coaching, the presence out in the community, type of things that they do. So hats off to Ren and Mark Kellogg for the great job that he did.
Yep. Frank and I were fortunate enough to get to meet Coach Kellogg at the Caravan there a couple of years ago. We both were immediately taken aback by him. He was such a personable guy, such a likable guy, and you just felt good about where the program was and whose hands. So yeah, hats off to Ren Baker for that hire, and he does a great job. And it's obvious that these players like him. They play hard for him, and he's done a great job. And like I said at the beginning of the show, these girls could make a run in this tournament. I'm telling you, they've got the opportunity.
Yep.
Frank,
By
I
the
know
way,
you feel.
the men's.
Go ahead, Phil.
I just want to give an update on the men's game. They're down 31-23 at the half.
Yep. Yeah, we went. It sounds like what we've done in the past, and that is going to these scoring droughts, and 23 points in a half of basketball ain't many, as they say, and 31 is good defense. 23, they're playing better defense, I guess. but I don't know that
we beat these guys the first time we played them.
Yeah.
I think it was 79-71 in Morgantown, but we had them in that game. We had them 40-26 at halftime.
Yeah,
so
and we shot the ball very well, and we've had episodes.
Is that the game that? Is that the game that Honor got his 7 3-pointers in? I think it was.
I believe so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But we've gone through these spells where we struggle to get the ball in the basket, and that night we just made shots, and I know Captain Obvious, you got to make shots. You got to score points to win. We always play pretty good defense, which keeps us in these games, but we got to have Huff and Eagle staff hitting shots. I mean, that's the key. And I haven't got to watch any yet, but I'm guessing, well, obviously that they don't have very many points because we don't have very many points. So, hopefully we can get it going in the second half. Frank, real quick, your thoughts there on Coach Kellogg when we got to meet him.
Well, it's very impressive. I mean, there's absolutely no question about it. And I agree with Mick. That is that gatekeepers are absolutely critical, and we have a great one in terms of inviting a person. And people have to remember that he was faced with a situation in women's basketball that was very similar to the men's basketball, where a coach came in and left quickly for actually another Big Ten school. She left for Minnesota. And so getting Kellogg to come was really great. And the other thing I would say, going back to what Mickey said about camaraderie and what Phil was talking about in his relationship with Coach Nealon, you can tell that Coach Kellogg has a tremendous relationship with his players. They love each other and they play so well together. And a lot of people will see this, I think, in the tournament. I really predict that TCU is going to go a long way. They're a really talented team, and we just took them out of their sequence. Suarez is a really good player. She hurt us when we played them down there. We lost to them twice this season. Once at home on a great last second shot, and then down in Fort Worth. And as I said, the length they have is going to cause a lot of teams and players a lot of trouble when they can throw 3 women who are 6'7" or above, 2 6'7s, and then they get a 6'8", and so that's something. But they're a lot of pride, and not only in the fact that they won a championship, but how they went about it, and the kind of character you can see both on the bench with the coaching staff and also the players. But I want to say about the men's game, this is ending up, at least at this point, to be a 2-person game. Dibansa has 17 points, 17 of the 31 points, and Honor Huff has 11 of the 23 points. Dibansa is shooting 8 for 17, and Huff is shooting 3 for 9. Eagle staff has not taken a shot yet.
Wow.
So, although he has 2 rebounds but he also has 3 turnovers.
So I was going to say, one of the big stats that jumps out at me is that the fact we have 14 turnovers already first half, and you're not going to you can play all the good defense you want, but if you're turning the ball over, it means
throwing it away.
Yeah, you're not scoring. You're giving him a chance to score, and you just can't do that. So you can survive a game with one aspect getting a little out of whack, but when you have 2 or 3 things going against you, you better get something rectified real quick. And like I said, hopefully I can hit a few shots, get the offense going, and quit turning the ball over and hit some shots. That'll make a difference.
That's right.
And I want to mention Frank too before we go. I know this is not West Virginia basketball, but I got the good fortune to go down to Johnson City, Tennessee this past weekend and watch the Big South tournament. And of course, I'm biased because my son's an assistant coach at Winthrop University, and I witnessed what I think might be the greatest comeback in the history of college basketball. And I say that with all sincerity, with the exception of the Duke comeback at one time where they scored 8 points in 17 seconds. This rivaled that, very close. And I think you watched it. Winthrop trailed by, they were down 7 with 45 seconds to go. They were still down 7 with 26 seconds to go. Started at 45 seconds. They went on a 12-0 run and ended up winning the game by a 5-point difference, I think it was. So they went from being down 7 to winning by 5 in the last 45 seconds. And it was the most incredible thing I've ever watched. And I know you watched it, so I was going to see what your thoughts were.
Oh, yeah.
We talked.
Yeah, and congratulations to Sid Chris, Greg's son, who's an assistant coach at Winthrop. It was amazing because they couldn't get the ball out of bounds every time they tried to throw it in. Birmingham Southern. It was Birmingham. Pardon?
Charleston Southern.
Yeah. They couldn't get it in, and it was turned over. Boom, a lot of great passing and just so many points, and to be down by 7 and win by 5 with about 45 seconds left is just absolutely amazing. Unfortunately, they lost the next night to High Point. High Point's a
lost
really
in the
good
championship
team.
to High Point. Oh my God!
I tell you, watch High Point in the NCAA's. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if they knock off a big boy. They're good. They're very good.
Yeah, they're very talented, very talented, and I think that's you look at the NIL situation and the money that High Point has, from what I understand, they've got some high quality players. They had, and I don't remember them all, but I know one of their kids who started was a transfer from Arizona. One of the kids who was like 6th or 7th man, he transferred from UConn, and he was hell of a player. So they had about 10 guys who could all play. And, I just said that money talks, and that's what happens. But, you're right. They're very talented and very good. And one of the best point guards I've seen in a long time plays for them. And Thomas is his name. And, man, they're just a good basketball team. So, wouldn't shock me one bit if they don't pull one the first round of the tournament. Wouldn't surprise me a bit.
Yeah, the one team that I thought was equivalent was Belmont. I think down in Nashville, but they lost. That's the crazy thing about it. It makes the season great. They lost number 1 seed in their conference, Ohio Valley. They lost to Drake, that has really fallen since DeVries, and then the Iowa coach was there at Drake and went to Iowa. Drake beat Belmont like a drum. Huge upset. I'm not sure Belmont's going to get a reprieve with a bid, at-large bid. And then the very next night, Drake got beaten like a drum. And so it was a one-night hurrah. And so that's college basketball, and it really comes out this time of year. It's just fantastic. Well, I see that the Mountaineers halftime is just about over. So what we may want to do is using a baseball reference, round third and head for home.
Head for home. That's old Joe Nuxall right there.
Yeah, that's right. Great win yesterday against Maryland. We start the Big 12 season this weekend at Baylor, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Keep our fingers crossed. We have a great guest. Talk about baseball. Scott's brother played for the Mountaineers. Scott was a great linebacker, same era, largely, that Phil was in a little bit later. But we look forward to having Scott, another former player that Mark Parsons lined up for us, and we appreciate that very much. And so Scott will be with us next Wednesday night at 7.
Yep, Scott Jericho will be joining us on the show. And as always, thanks to Mark Parsons for lining these guests up for us. Thanks to you, Frank, for doing such a great job. And Mickey, it's great to have you back, and great to have you on the show. We miss you when you're not here. So make sure you stay healthy and get back on there with us this next week.
You got it.
All right, we got a deal. So Mickey's going to come back. Thanks again to you guys, Darren, behind the scenes. We appreciate everybody for tuning in tonight. Great show with Phil Braxton. Look forward to coming to you next week with Scott Jericho. You're watching on College Football Live. You're watching on New River Network. A lot of places you can watch. Go back in the archives after the Mountaineer game's over. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next week.